Okay guys, today we're going to discuss a few things with regards to your Google Wi-Fi. Some misconception of some people about Google Wi-Fi. So let's start. Okay, so number one misconception is this. Okay, so Google Wi-Fi can provide the internet connection. Okay, so that is a no, a hard no. Google Wi-Fi, for it to work, it actually needs a modem, working modem, and an active internet connection plan. Okay, Google Wi-Fi is actually a router, so it will still be dependent on your modem for connection. Okay, so also we have here Google actually has a what we call Google Fiber, which is different from your Google Wi-Fi. Google Fiber is actually an internet service of Google that is available on certain regions in the US. On the other hand, you have Google Wi-Fi, which is again a router that you could use to create a mesh network, or you could actually just use it individually as your regular router. Another misconception by some is that Google Wi-Fi can increase your connection speed. Now, if you're thinking that using Google Wi-Fi or having multiple Google Wi-Fi inside your house can increase your speed or something like this, okay, so that is not going to happen. Google Wi-Fi will maximize your speed depending on your speed plan, but it cannot go over the speed plan that you have. Okay, so again, it can just maximize your speed but cannot go over the plan that you have. Number three, your Wi-Fi connection or the Wi-Fi connection strength is constant, or it should be full at all the time. Okay, there are actually some people asking me, I'm using Google Wi-Fi, I supposed to have full bars or full Wi-Fi signal bars on my devices all over the house. Now we also need to understand mesh and Wi-Fi signals are just the same with your radio signals. So we also need to consider factors that can affect your network, or in other words, we also need to consider Wi-Fi interference. Okay, so one of which is your house structure and also devices that is near your Google Wi-Fi. With the structure, the level of interference will depend on the type of material located around the house. Now, with regards to devices, it can be anything. Okay? It can be a microwave, a ref, a cordless phone. Anything that can interfere with radio signal can definitely affect your network. Another thing that we also might need to consider is the numbers of Wi-Fi networks around the area. Okay, so this will not affect that much with regards to your Wi-Fi signal strength, but it can affect the quality of your Wi-Fi connection, and more often it can cause some connection issues, like if you have too much network, most of the time you're going to have Wi-Fi congestion for that, so we also need to consider that one as well. So basically what this means is that the more Wi-Fi devices or the more wireless devices that we have around your Google Wi-Fi, the more likely that we will have some interference. So I would suggest we might need to put Google Wi-Fi away from those type of things. Now, another one is that some people think the more Google Wi-Fi that they have, the better connection they will get. Now, the number of Google Wi-Fi that you could use will depend on how big your house is. For Google Wi-Fi, it can cover up to 1500 square feet. For Google Nest Wi-Fi, it can cover up to 2200 square feet and 1600 square feet for the Nest Wi-Fi points. If you have a big area and you need to put more Google Wi-Fi, the recommended numbers of Google Wi-Fi that you could use is up to 6. This is to ensure the stability of your mesh connection. We may use more than that, but that might actually have an effect on your Wi-Fi network connection. So it would be best to limit the number of Wi-Fi points that we could use in a certain area. Now, here are two common issues that we might encounter having too many Wi-Fi points in one particular area. So first, again, we might encounter congestion since Google Wi-Fi again is a router. So it would actually be like you're having multiple routers around the house, and they might congest the network. Now, if we have Google Wi-Fi positioned on a line, okay, and we have, let's say, we have more than 6 of them, the issues that we could actually encounter with that is that we might actually have a data transfer delay depending on which Wi-Fi point you're currently connected. The farther Wi-Fi point that you're connected to, the most probable that you're going to have some delays with your data transfer, since the data coming from your device needs to travel to each Wi-Fi point going to the main one and to the network through the web. Same goes with receiving data, so we might also need to consider that. Also, if we're on a multi-level house, we don't suggest that you're going to position your Google Wi-Fi like this or putting them directly above or below each other, since the signals coming from your Wi-Fi points going sideward. Putting them above and below might actually not be the best position for your Wi-Fi points. It would be best to position them like this so that they could have a better connection from the source point. And finally, we have here, you can put your Wi-Fi points anywhere after setup. Well, for this one, it's actually a yes/no answer. Yes, we can move your Wi-Fi point around the house after setup as long as it's on an open space and elevated from the floor. However, the recommended distance between your Wi-Fi points will be around 20 to 25 feet apart. That is to ensure the stability of your mesh connection. Now, you might actually argue with me that, hey, Google Wi-Fi can actually have a coverage of up to 1500 square feet. Now, that is actually your Wi-Fi connection. Now, the mesh connection and Wi-Fi connection are two different types of connection that your Google Wi-Fi is using. Now, for Wi-Fi connection, that is the connection that your device is connected to or using to access the internet, while the mesh connection is the type of connection that your Google Wi-Fi is using to communicate with each other or each Wi-Fi point. We can put them farther than that, but it might actually affect the connection quality of your network. So those are misconceptions by some people about Google Wi-Fi. Hope this helps to clarify that. If you like this video, just give us a like, and thanks for watching. Until the next time, bye for now.